Hello everyone, my name is Nick Martin. I'm the owner and founder of Pennsy Productions, and welcome to our 2022 year in review. Now, if you've been following us for a while, or if you've seen our previous years in review, you might notice that this year's year in review looks a little bit different. And likewise, this year's been a little bit different. We've moved away from the regular railfan videos that you've known us for, and we've kind of moved into the large documentary style videos that you've been seeing from us this year. So realizing this, and since there have been so many notable videos this year that we've made, we're going to go ahead and do things a little bit different and give you our top 5 videos of 2022. This will kind of give you a behind the scenes look into what the filmmaking process was like for each video and why each video earned a specific spot on the list. So without further ado, let's get started. So starting off here with number 5, it was really an obvious choice. I knew as soon as it took off in views that it would earn a spot somewhere on the list. And some of you might already be able to guess what it is. It is, of course, Western Maryland 1309, The Beast is Back. So even as a child, I had always been in love with the Western Maryland Scenic Railroad. And as I grew older, I really came to appreciate the photo charters that would be put on there from time to time. I was always really impressed with the show that 734 put on back in the day on those steep mountain grades on photo charters, and I always kind of wanted to attend one myself. And of course, the whole 1309 project was just monumental for preservation, the most costly steam restoration ever undertaken by a nonprofit. And as soon as those tickets for the Trains Magazine Welcome Back charter went on sale, I didn't even think twice about it and I purchased tickets instantly. Now, going into the charter, there were some reservations that I had, most notably with being 100 people on the charter. There were some spots that you instantly had to kind of scratch out. And of course, there hasn't been a major charter at the Western Maryland since 2016 when the 734 went down. So you would have had to do major brush cutting on several locations. And so a lot of the grown-in locations were ruled out as well, like log load we didn't do. Coal tipple, thankfully, we did do. And the Western Maryland Scenic team did a really incredible job, as well as the Trains Magazine team, with brush cutting really all the locations that they did, but especially coal tipple. And of course, the 1309 was absolutely phenomenal with their performance. My personal favorite run-by from the charter, and really one of my favorites of all time, really, is the first run-by that we did Saturday morning on top of Price Hill, looking down on Helmstedter's Curve. And this was the first articulated steam-powered freight train to go over the curve since the Challenges went around it in 1953. And the crews really had her working very hard. Nice white plume of smoke, which we love to see. And it was really just incredible, that particular run-by. It was really what stood out for the charter. Something else notable is we sat for the first time ever at a steam charter at Garner's Meadow. And this is a location that you couldn't have shot at with the 734 because after she went down there was a landslide that occurred there. And so once that landslide was repaired, there was this huge meadow that opened up, and it was a really incredible location. Unfortunately, because of that location and the grade and the curvature with the locomotive, they'd never really run up there before, and they were being really cautious going around that curve. So it was really more for photography than videography, but nevertheless it was just a really scenic location, and the lighting was great with where it was planned and when it was planned, and overall it was just another thing that was notable about that charter. Now, of course, with 100 people on that charter, you're bound to know people, and there were quite a few that we knew, and it was really great to get to meet some of them for the first time after talking to them online. and several of them we'd met before, and it was nice to see them again. And of course, with that, you have a lot of memories from that, and it's really fun to look back on those and smile. There were, of course, some moments that were maybe frustrating in the moment, but once you look back on them, you laugh. One of those moments for me personally, and for most people in the charter, was in the Narrows on Sunday morning. There were some hikers using the Allegheny Passage Trail, and from time to time they would come in and block the run-by. Now, of course, they had no idea this event was going on. They were probably confused as to why there were so many people lined up with cameras on the trail. But of course, when you look back on it, the reactions from the photo line are sort of funny. So it's nice to look back on that and smile. And of course, when we released the video, it did absolutely phenomenal. It blew out everything that we expected for the video. Currently, as we film this, it's sitting around 85,000 views, which makes it our most viewed video on this channel by a long shot. And later on, we posted a reel on our Instagram page of the Price Hill Run By, and that reel has over 300,000 views today, and really just absolutely blew every other reel that we'd posted there out of the water, and ultimately propelled our Instagram account to have more followers than our YouTube account does subscribers, which was really kind of interesting statistic, the way things work like that. So for those reasons, Western Maryland 1309, The Beast is Back, has earned the number 5 spot on this list. So now let's move on to number 4. So coming in at number 4 was the first video that really set off the chain of documentary type videos that you've seen from us this year, and it is Reading 2100 steam locomotive restoration. So how this video came about was really from a variety of different factors. We'd never really quite been satisfied with the previous 2 versions that we'd made on the channel about the 2100, so we kind of figured third time's a charm, and so we figured we'd do ourselves one better with this video. Just prior to making this video, we'd made a year in review video for the 4070 restoration, and that was really our first attempt in quite some time in orchestrating multiple interviews for a video. So there were some things from that video that we had kind of been dissatisfied about, we wanted to improve on and wanted to push our boundaries even more. Namely, we wanted a second camera angle if we could have gotten one. We wanted to switch up locations between interviews. We wanted to have more subjects that were actually able to be interviewed. Now, unfortunately, due to a variety of different reasons, not all of these things actually came through, but we were able to get most of them to come through, which is really what was important. So one other factor in producing the video was I'd been shown this documentary at my video productions class at my high school called Cutting Edge, and it was about the editing process. And they'd interviewed a bunch of different filmmakers such as Steven Spielberg, Martin Scorsese, etc., etc. And the thing that they all reiterated was the importance of each individual frame in an edit. I think one quote was, "1 frame added or 1 frame less is the difference between a sour note and a sweet note in editing." And that's what I took away from it, was that's what I was missing in my content, was I was not worrying about the frames and worrying about how everything felt in the edit. So I wanted to put that knowledge to use, and the 2100 project really just seemed to be the perfect option. So I asked the guys at ASR, and I'd been involved with, at that point, coming up on 3 years. I contacted them and they were more than willing to help out. Contacted a couple board members and volunteers, and they were all interested in being interviewed. I was able to get Brian Smith, my good friend, out to help with production, provide that second camera angle I wanted. Now, unfortunately for us, it was a very busy day that day at the Roundhouse, so there were power tools everywhere, lots of noise, so there was a lot of interesting challenges to work around for the video. There was a lot of background noise in the audio, and there was a lot of background movement in the video, and a lot of interview subjects we had to wait around for a while because they were actually working on the locomotive and doing their jobs, and they couldn't step aside and be interviewed at the time. So we had to kind of work around that. We were very lucky. We decided to use a lavalier microphone to mic up our interview subjects, because those are very short-range microphones and they don't get a lot of background noise in the audio. And I think if we had mic'd them up any other way, we would have had absolutely unsalvageable audio with how loud it was in there that day, and we would have been in real hot water. So it was a really wise decision, thankfully, to use the lavalier microphone in that process.
My name's Rob Gardner, president of ASR. We're here at the West 3rd Street Roundhouse. You can see the 2100 behind me here, which is our main project today. American Steam Railroad was founded in 2005. Our basic mission is to restore and operate mainline steam locomotives.
And we actually did get all the interviews we had set out to get, which was a really gratifying feeling. And unfortunately, with everything that was going on, we weren't able to switch locations between interviews like we'd wanted, but we felt that we had really improved on what we had previously done, and that was ultimately what we set out to do. And of course, that video, when we released it, did take off as well, just as the 1309 video did right before it. Currently, that video stands at around 28,000 views, which makes it one of the most high-viewed videos on the channel, which is really just an incredible statistic. And so for all those reasons, it earned the number 4 spot on this list. So at number 3, this is kind of a situation that we just happened to find, but it ended up making for a really great, really memorable video, and that is the man with the caboose in his backyard. So as I said, we just kind of happened to find Tom. He was actually my uncle's neighbor is how we found out about him, and I'd been catching glimpses of his caboose for years, and I do vaguely remember one Christmas when I was a kid, touring through it back when it was in more of an unrestored state. And over the years, I kind of saw the transformation happening. I do remember seeing it one day in primer before it actually was painted. So I think it was over Labor Day weekend in 2021. We'd found out that he was having an open house, kind of a block party of sorts, that right after the caboose was finished. And he toured us through the caboose, and it was really, I was just blown away by how intricate everything was. Because I remember seeing it back when before it was actually restored, and it was completely different. It was like a different caboose, and it was just unbelievable what he had done, almost entirely by himself. And he also took us down to see his model railroad, which was down there, and I was equally blown away by that, just how big it was and how detailed it was, and it was just amazing. All this time I was right there, and I'd never known this incredible place, and I was walking away from that day thinking in the back of my mind, this is a video. So I'd been meaning to do it for a while, and I had just never really gotten around to it. I had a lot of projects that kind of came in beforehand, and I never really found a good time to do it. So it was around June or so of 2022 where I got in contact with Tom about actually doing the video. And he was very cooperative, so we went over there and we shot the video, and it was actually pretty straightforward because he's a very good presenter on camera, I found out. And so I was able to use the entire segment pretty much as one take in the edit, which was very nice. It saved me a lot of time and a lot of stress in the edit. And the layout video progressed much the same way, and he was also very helpful in lending a lot of photos of the restoration process. He has his own channel where he had a bunch of photos as well, where I was able to take advantage of those, and I was able to fill out the timeline with no issues whatsoever. But the real reason we put this on the top 5 list here is because we were the first people to tell this story. A lot of the things we make mini documentaries on are already established things that we're putting a new twist on or a new spin on, but for this, we were the first people to be breaking the story. And so it was very interesting and very exciting to be the first ones to tell people about this, and people realize there's this great thing that they didn't know about before. And for that reason, it's very much earned a number 3 spot on the list. So taking the number 2 spot is unarguably the biggest event that we've covered as a channel this year, and that is of course Ramblers on the Double, the Reading and Northern 2102 and 425 doubleheader. So we didn't actually mean to attend this event. We did not pick this date purposely to chase a doubleheader. We'd planned this out months in advance because it was going to be my 18th birthday weekend, and we figured what better way to celebrate this very monumental date in my life than chasing the 2102 around all day. So that's what we did. We booked our hotel rooms, and then after we did all that, the Reading and Northern decided to announce that they were going to double head their engines, and the internet exploded, as you all know. And so we were very excited as to what the event would hold, but we knew that it was going to be a very monumental event, and there were going to be a lot of people out in force chasing. and that's exactly what it was. There were so many people out. It was incredible to see how far traffic was backed up on the highway for the engines. And it was just incredible. It's nothing like we've ever been in before or have since. And it was incredible to be part of, but one is enough. If we do that again, and if there's another doubleheader, we will happily enjoy it from a nice coach seat. But it was incredible to be part of nonetheless. We were very thankful to cover the event. Now, from the perspective of somebody who volunteers and is very familiar with the Reading T1s from the work on the 2100, it was incredible to see the future of what our work would lead to. We'd been there the prior November in Port Clinton to check out the 2102's progress after we'd chased the fall foliage in 2021, and it was really amazing just to see her there, because they were farther ahead than we were, and it was just incredible to see a year or two forward in time and just see how our locomotive might look a year or two down the road. And from that point of view, the doubleheader was that times 10. And it was just unbelievable. You're so familiar after spending so many hundreds of hours with that locomotive in Cleveland. You go to the same locomotive over in Port Clinton, and it's like you've never left. It's just unbelievable. And I know a good portion of our volunteers who've been over to see that locomotive I've really enjoyed it, and it's really invigorated them to go all in on the 2100. And I think because of that, 2022 was a really great year for the 2100, because the 2102 has fueled so much enthusiasm, not just from donors, but from volunteers who have seen her in operation. And they get to see forward in time and see what their efforts will eventually lead to. And I think that's been really great. So as someone who's very familiar with the Reading T1s after my work on the 2100, it was incredible to see what my work would eventually lead to on an operational locomotive. And so for that reason, and because it was such a monumental event, it's very much earned that number 2 spot. So finally, at number 1 is another video that's kind of a no-brainer. We knew right at the onset of it, as soon as we got the great response that we did get from it, it is Inside the Indiana Rail Experience. So this video never actually came about until after we got the offer to join Dynamo Productions, which is a really great bunch of guys, one of the leaders really in online railroad media, and we're very fortunate to be part of that team now. And once we joined, we realized that nobody else was really going to be covering the Indiana Rail Experience in 2022, and it was going to be a major thing that Dynamo was going to miss out on. So we realized we had to step up and cover that for them. Now the trade-off to that was we would have had to miss out on the event from our point of view, because we couldn't put the same footage on 2 different channels. So what we decided instead was, why not make a documentary about it? Because the Indiana Rail Experience is such an incredible operation, there's nothing really like it in the preservation scene today, so it was just a natural subject for a documentary. So we reached out to the Fort Wayne guys with the idea, and they were very gracious in allowing us to do it. We got a hold of several interview subjects who were interested in giving their thoughts. We made plans and reservations to go out to the Tri-State Scenic Steam Excursion on August 27th and 28th, which would see the 765 travel through Ohio, Indiana, and Michigan in one day. So as the name suggests, it was a very scenic chase. It's something that we've always kind of wanted to see, is the 765 running through territory that resembles what she would have run through back in the days of the nickel plate, even though she wasn't really on nickel plate track. And after having to deal with a double-header zoo on the Reading and Northern a couple weeks prior, it was really refreshing to be out on the open road, no hills, no cars around for miles, and it was a really great experience from a chase point of view. Now, riding the train was another great experience because the Fort Wayne guys had just restored a former Santa Fe baggage car for use as an open-air car. So we got 3 hours straight of hanging out the baggage door, soaking in the sights and sounds of steam railroading from a first-person point of view, non-stop all the way. And it was a really great experience, and she had the 576's whistle on that day, which was just as exciting. We knew when we heard it at Cuyahoga Valley in 2019 it wouldn't be the last time we'd hear it. Now, with regard to the documentary itself, there were some problems encountered while we were shooting. That's just the kind of thing that you deal with in this sort of situation. Most notably, the device we were using to record our lavalier microphone at the time was being a little bit troublesome, so we had to run to the local Hillsdale Walmart to get some supplies for that. There were some interviews where noise was an issue because when you're on a train full of people, you're going to get a lot of background noise, and it's pretty hard to avoid that in all honesty. Having only 2 batteries for our camera was kind of an issue on Sunday, with recording several different interviews with several different interview subjects, as well as recording out the window all day. We drained through our batteries pretty quickly, and we came to a point where our batteries were both dead and we had to charge them actually on the train, which was kind of an interesting experience, but we managed to get everything done that we had set out to do. We'd also like to thank our friends who contributed footage to the video, and it's because of their help that we were actually able to finish the video and fill the timeline, which we wouldn't have been able to do if we were just doing it by ourselves. Now, when the video actually did release, we got a really tremendous response to it from everybody. We were really just overwhelmed with the amount of nice words and kind words that were said to us by so many people about the video. It actually ended up on the homepage of the Indiana Rail Experience website, which was a really unexpected surprise. We're very thankful for that. But really the main reason why this video is #1 really goes a bit deeper. So ever since I was a kid, I've always been fascinated with railroading and everything trains, but I've also been fascinated with film. As a kid, I would always make these little layout updates on my O-gauge model railroad, kind of like Eric Siga would do, and pretend I had a YouTube channel. And as I got older, into my preteen years, I actually did run a YouTube channel, and that's where I got used to working with the net editing program. And over the years, I kind of fell in and out of railroading as I realized it wasn't really cool. It was kind of nerdy to be a rail fan. But once I kind of got back into things around 2017 or so, I found out that the 765 came to the Cuyahoga Valley every year, and I realized that's literally in my backyard. So I instantly fell in love with that locomotive, and then by extension, I came to know of the work of Kelly Lynch. And there was something about his work, I'm not really sure even to this day quite what it was, but there was something about it that really reignited that passion within me to pursue film. I had never really considered it as a career choice, but that was the first time I actually did consider it. And so I made top 10 retired steam excursion stars, I saw the 765 in the valley for the first time and chased it around, and then after that I founded Pennsy Productions and made those works public. And step by step the dominoes kind of fell. I became involved with the American Steam Railroad and the 2100. And over time I became more and more involved in the media operations. Until this day, I'm producing video updates for them every single month. Getting involved with the Midwest Railway Preservation Society and producing updates for the 4070. Making these larger documentary videos for Pennsy Productions here. And this fall, I'm actually going off to college and pursuing film as my major. And if it wasn't for Kelly and his work there first, I probably would not be in this position right now. So getting to interview and work with Kelly is really for me like coming full circle, because he's the person who kind of set this all into motion. So I'm very thankful to him and to everybody at Fort Wayne for being so open and cooperative with the project, and ultimately that's why it has secured #1 spot on this list. So before we wrap things up, we wanted to know what you guys thought of 2022. So we put out a post on our community tab asking what your favorite videos were of this year. There were 90 of you who voted, and here are your responses. So at number 5, with 7% of the votes, is The Man with the Caboose in His Backyard. At number 4, with 18%, is Inside the Indiana Rail Experience. And then this I actually found very surprising. Number 2 and number 3 are tied with 21% of the votes each. And they are Ramblers on the Double, the Reading Northern Doubleheader, and Western Maryland 1309, The Beast is Back. So those two are tied. And number 1, with 33% of the vote, is Reading 2100 Steam Locomotive Restoration. So those are the results based on what you guys have said. And if you guys aren't paying attention to our community tab, make sure to do that, because we have polls like this all throughout the year, as well as updates on editing, photography, and so much more. So make sure to stay tuned to that if you want to be involved in a poll like this one. But that's your top 5 videos of 2022. So that's all we have for this year's Year in Review and our top 5 videos of 2022. We hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's a lot different from a lot of the stuff we've done before, so if you guys did like it, let us know in the comments below and we might do more like this. In terms of what you can expect in 2023, we're still in planning with a lot of things, but we can say that you can expect our Colorado Narrow Gauge Expedition this year. After years of hyping it up, this looks like it'll finally be the year. We'll also be returning to a lot of railroads that you've seen us at before, along with a lot of new ones as well, so make sure to stick around for that. And you'll see more of us from Dynamo Productions, American Steam Railroad, and Midwest Railway, and of course you'll still see us right here on Pennsy Productions. And like we've done in 2022, you'll see us continue the trend of documentary type videos in 2023. So with that being said, that wraps up this video. We hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to comment down below, let us know your thoughts, share this video around, and subscribe for the most railroading stories and railroading. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.